Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I am really tired this morning because I stayed up to about 3 o'clock last night getting some marketing work done, some marketing content. Hopefully you'll see that for the other matters, the other ventures that I have going on. But the purpose of this video and going live today, I really wasn't thinking I would have to, because I did not believe, and I wasn't being naive, but I just didn't believe that there would be this much, not this level of disinformation that would be publicized, and by CNN and Don and Chris Cuomo. I know that it's the political season. I know that the Republican convention is up and coming, and we know, we can just about guess. I bet she's doing a live somewhere right now saying that we're going to go full forward with the Republican convention. Yay! Right. So I'm not surprised about the politics behind it. I'm not surprised about that. But I am admittedly just a little taken aback. I am just a little taken aback by this level of disinformation for the people, for the sake of the people, you know? I don't deem any of this expedient. It is not expedient for our essential workers who are out there on the front lines. And this includes the responders, this includes the doctors, the nurses, the sanitation staff, the janitorial staff at the hospitals, the supply chain workers, those who are working heartily in warehouses right now, making sure that supply meets demand. Those are the people that we should be most concerned about. We understand at this point that we are generally staying at home. We know that. We can look outside our window, even in our local neighborhoods, and we can see that everything is generally still, or even eerily still, okay? If you've gone to the grocery store during this time frame, I have to go to the pharmacy for me and my son. It's just over-the-counter allergy medicine. Well, I guess it's not prescribed. And the kind that I get, which is 24 hours, it requires that I show my license and the whole shebang, and I can't get it more than 10 days, 10 days dosage, et cetera, et cetera. So when I'm out at the pharmacy, I see also this eerie, change. So we know that people are generally staying at home. We don't see the general population out and about like we normally would, okay? The reason why this issue is so core to not only my belief system, but my academia is for 3 reasons, okay? So this here, if you'll notice, let's see. All right, it says hazmat training, 40 hours in the Waste Management Institute. That's the Advanced Waste Management Institute at North Carolina A&T State University under Dr. Uzochukwu. Some of you know that Dr. Uzochukwu was my primary advisor in my undergrad program, and he is the founder of the International Waste Management Institute. And I was amongst I believe it was like 6 scientist students at that time. I was in my bachelor's program, and I believe I was a junior rising senior. And we were amongst the inception of the first students to go through his certification program, okay? Through that program, and one of the opportunities that we were provided through that program was to provide lead scientist consulting and expertise and research to Savannah Riverside Nuclear Power Plant. Now, those of you who know me, you know exactly this story. You probably remember when I was living in Aiken. Well, we actually lived in Augusta, Georgia, and we drove into Aiken, South Carolina, where Savannah Riverside Nuclear Power Plant is. My specialization is and was wetland bioremediation, or wetland bio or phyto remediation. Bio being small life, microbiology, right? Or phyto being hydrophytes, these water-loving plants, and how they work in the ecosystem of a wetland to remedy, and we don't use this word, but I'm going to use this word just for reference, to fix or to clean or to rid of any of the nasty pollutants that may be in that ecosystem. And we know that this ecosystem, a wetland, is thrice-fold, okay? So you have the water, the hydrology aspect of it. Then you have the life, the plant or cellular, right? Organism. That's your life, okay? And then you have the soil, right? Which is normally the bed of a wetland, okay? All right, so what I'm getting at is that we were remedying nuclear waste. We were researching how to correct old practices of effectually burying nuclear waste in clay-lined refuse cells, okay? So just imagine someone were to dig a hole, okay? Right? You know how some of you have been camping before, and you know that you dig a hole, or you use some leaves, and you go to the bathroom, and then you kind of cover it up. You put the mound back on, put some leaves on it, and you go away. Okay. Think of it in the same way. So there was an excavation that was going on, and there was a belief before there were further research in the viability of clay being a non-porous liner, an effective liner to hold in nuclear waste so that it wouldn't leach into aquifers or groundwater. Okay, and I'm trying not to go too far into deep, like science, but I need you to understand that I know that you see me all the time being silly, being casual, especially when I go live. Now, maybe when I'm at the events, things of that nature, you'll see a more stricter professional side. And the reason being is because I don't want to be intimidating. I want to make sure that I am reaching everyone. And in the same token, at the end of the day, I'm people too. Just because I have a degree or these degrees, it doesn't make me any better than the next person. And in my strong belief system, which I say all the time, we are all infinitely intelligent. Infinitely intelligent. We choose when to wield our intelligence. We do that in our personal life. We do it in our professional life. We do that. I believe that very strongly, okay? So what I'm getting at is that I don't want to talk at you. And I'm here because I do know that I understand the psychology of approval, if you will. We like to see, we like to listen. Well, there's some of us. Some of us, we feel like we can only receive accurate information from our pastor. Some people truly believe they can't receive anything spiritually accurate from a friend. They feel like if they don't have some pastoral status or church, clergyman status, then they're not fit. They're not qualified to give that type of information or that type of advisement. Equally, there's some people who feel like, okay, well, I don't know you. Do you have a degree? You running your mouth about science, but do you have a degree in science? And not only do you have a degree in science, I want to know if you actually have experience in science. So this is the reason why I'm sharing this. Now, this has been shared before, so for those of you who know this information, please just give me just a moment to go ahead and say it, and then I'll just jump straight into the question and answer session. I'm hoping that you all will join me today. I know that I did this last minute, so some of you may not be able to join me today at 11. I will be going live again today at 7 p.m. And then tomorrow I'll go live at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And I believe, let me check. I believe I said that I would go because I don't want to give misinformation. Whew, I'm telling you. Hype Mode Squad. And for whatever reason, just so you know, I am very, very punctual. I did click the live link on my laptop. And it is still actually saying waiting for live video. So I decided, well, instead of just waiting, I'll just go live on my phone. And, you know, it went straight to it. So that was the only cause for delay. And I'll be mindful of that and, you know, of your time and my time for the future live broadcast. Okay, so what I said was, let's go. Okay, I said that I'll go live today, of course, 11 a.m., 7 p.m. here on Facebook, okay? This is the See Tigress Run. This is my campaign, official campaign public figure website, Facebook page. But I'm not campaigning, okay? I am not campaigning right now at all. And those of you who know me, you know I don't campaign like this. No, I am not going to beg you. Some of you probably think I'm really, really cocky as it relates to that. I feel very strongly that until you have a true valuation of yourself, you cannot see all the benefits that come with a Tigress McDaniel. So you better love on yourself and then open your eyes and see what I got. What? Okay, so anyway, all right, going live today, 11 a.m., 7 p.m. here on Facebook. Then on Twitter, on tomorrow, which is Saturday, April 4th, I will be going live on Twitter. My Twitter account is the same, See Tigress Run. Everywhere present. Thankfully, by the grace of my creator, I was able to get, it was not taken, See Tigress Run everywhere. I'm See Tigress Run on TikTok. I just haven't made a TikTok yet for that page per se. I am See Tigress Run on Twitter, See Tigress Run on Instagram, and Facebook is facebook.com/See Tigress Run. Okay, so you can find me everywhere. And if you have any questions after I finish this live broadcast, you are more than welcome to send them to me. Some people don't feel comfortable with going, with posing their questions in a live broadcast, and they feel more comfortable just sending me questions offline. You're perfectly fine to do so. You may DM me through Twitter. You may message me through Facebook. You may message me through Twitter. And you may do it publicly. You don't necessarily have to send me a private tweet on Twitter, and I will definitely answer your questions. Those questions that, of course, are relevant to my expertise. And anything that is not relevant to my expertise, I can at least provide you accurate resources, okay? All right, so we go back to the fact that we were just covering the qualifications. So I showed you waste management, okay? This is the advanced certificate, okay? I have not only the initial International Waste Management Institute certificate through the program at North Carolina A&T State University, founded by and operated by Dr. Uzuchukwu, who is world renowned, okay? And I mentioned, of course, the Savannah Riverside Nuclear Power Plant lead scientist. I was amongst the initial inception of scientists even allowed to have that quote-unquote internship opportunity. And it was eye-opening. But nonetheless, we were handling, again, the remediation of nuclear waste. So I think when you talk about nuclear waste and then you talk about viral infections, you'll see what I mean as far as like waste management, OSHA, PPE, all these things are completely core to my field. They're not inseparable. They're not ancillary. They're not supplemental. They are core to my entire academia, okay? From the beginning, my bachelor's, master's, and now in my PhD program, for which I am a PhD candidate and have completed and passed the qualifying exam and have been conferred into candidacy, which means that I have been vetted in my expertise to say, oh, we think that you do qualify as an expert in your specialization. My specialization being wetland bio and phytoremediation and agricultural economics, okay? All right, so, and I'm one of the few because they actually had to create an exam for me. And it was a bit unprecedented because normally a student chooses one track and they're not both scientists and economists. I did them both. and I had to take all the tests at the same time over the course of 2 days, which is an 8-hour process, and you have to sit there. And it's just like when you take an SAT or an exam like that it is administered, a standardized test, but they have your peers, or who will be your peers once you graduate, those who are doctoral scientists, doctoral economists, who have already done it. They're vetted. They are sometimes 10 years in, tenured professors. They have many, many published journal articles, and they create the test for you in your specialization, and then vet and decide whether or not you qualify as an expert. So I do, okay? And that was in 2015. All right, so, all right, with that said, so not only do I have the, like I said, the initial Waste Management Institute certificate, when I returned for my PhD, I found, ironically enough, that Dr. Uzochukwu had not only founded the Energy and Environmental Systems PhD program that I have applied, was accepted, enrolled, and of course am completing now. He also created the Advanced International Waste Management Institute certificate. And that entails that you have to do all these things, and 40 additional hours of hazmat was part of that. That was not the only requirement, okay? All right, so, okay. Now with the lead scientist position. Okay, so I've not ever held an subordinate scientist position. Even when I was in my bachelor's program, I have always held lead scientist positions. I was a lead scientist with the National Park Service, and through them, the 2 parks for which I was assigned, was Shenandoah National Park and Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument, okay? At Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument, I was not only the lead scientist, but I was the lead scientist over the Student Conservation Association. So I was there teaching and doing research, and I had supplemental law enforcement duties, okay? All right. Also, I worked for private firms, providing scientific-based or professional services consulting, okay? One in particular, the research, and I was the only scientist. I didn't have an assistant. They couldn't afford an assistant. I was the only and the lead scientist handling their research on pesticide application, residential pesticide application and leaching, okay? All right, so this is my background. Dealing with the nasty stuff, dealing with the microbiology, dealing with a clean lab, dealing with how to prepare a lab, how to prepare your specimen, how to make sure your specimen are not contaminated, how to make sure to do the blue streak test, how to make sure that if you're that you have on the proper PPE for whatever research task you're handling. And keep in mind, this is not only for the microbiological waste, this is also for the biochemical waste and the big bad hazmat chemical waste, okay? So I'm asking that you please trust my expertise in this regard, all right? So now we've covered that. It's going to be forever on the gram and Twitter and the Facebook, okay? So you can fact check me. You're more than welcome to have a copy of my transcript. You're going to be like, did she really take all them damn things? Did she take all them? Yeah, you have to see the transcript. I look back on it and I'm like, you got to blame my dad, who influenced my mom, and who influenced me. I just went with it, okay? Because it is something else, okay? And not only that, just so you're aware, I also taught through my PhD program. I was a teaching assistant, as you would expect for a graduate student, and I taught both physics, chemistry, and anatomy, biology, okay? Excuse me. All right. Let's see here. So these were the things that were addressed last night that some of you saw my my excited, we'll call them excited posts. I wasn't angry. I'm not angry at all. I am professionally annoyed and appalled is what I am, okay? So I'll try to go over them in order, and I will stop each one of these, each one of these live sessions. If no one chimes in, I will stop in an hour. So that means that I started at 11 o'clock, or this time I started like 11:10. I don't feel like I'll need to go beyond 12 noon. But for the sake of it being consistent and just being an hour each time until someone actually comes in and says, hey, Tigress, I have a question. I'm posting this question. I need to have this answered. Then I'm going to stop promptly after an hour. And again, you are more than welcome to reach out to me after the fact. Some of you I know are like, okay, Tigress, we don't need you to do this because we already believe you and this is pointless. Or some of y'all like, you don't need to do this because I just don't trust the government. So I just figured that they lying anyway. And if I go outside, I'm definitely covering my damn face. Who knows? I'm just putting this out there for those of you who are really, really concerned and really want accurate information. And not only am I going to give you accurate information, I'm going to give you resources to back it up. Verifiable, vetted resources. Not Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is frowned upon in the upper level academia. It should be frowned upon lower level, but that's a process. You know what I mean? So you're kind of given a pass to, look for different resources, but it is not something that is favored at all in academia, period. Okay. And I will, number one, I can just drop this. This is just easy, straightforward. There's a such thing called Google Scholar. And you can also Google or search keywords and put in amongst those keywords journal articles, scientific journal articles, and they will pop up and you will see them. They are very distinguishable from, let's say, a blog or someone's just an article, and maybe they feel that maybe they had a personal experience with something and they just wanted to share their input, and they're not necessarily a scientist or whatever, and they have absolutely no qualifications for having put out that information that they're sharing. Those articles look completely different. You will see there will be citations, academic, APA, MLA. You'll see that. It will be recognizable from all other types of articles. Those are the articles you want to pay attention to, okay? Especially in the science realm. They have them for psychology. They have them for all professional fields of study, okay? Those are what you look for. Now, I can tell you honestly, some of them will be partially available. You do have to have a subscription to most of them in order to read full articles, but for the most part, you should be able to pull up most of the articles online and read significant portions of the article to find out the information that you need. What I'm getting at is issues that were obfuscated. Obfuscating meaning that they confused them on purpose to create or cause disillusionment, which is discourage viewers, discourage populations, and otherwise just misinform you and recklessly so. Okay? All right, so here we go. And I can't tell because it keeps saying that. Oh, it's showing that I'm live. I guess you can see it. This is weird. Now I can see it. This is so weird. I'm looking at it online. This is crazy sauce. That's so crazy. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. Yeah, I'm seeing it. So y'all may see it in lag time. This is so funny. This is so funny. Anyway, let me go ahead. I'm just fascinated. Okay, here we go. So we're going to talk about, they keep calling it social distancing. It's not social distancing. The philosophy of thought in academia is called physical distancing. Okay, we'll talk about that. Then number 2, we'll talk about personal protective equipment. We'll talk about the N95 mask and alternative PPE. Okay, and we'll also talk about why PPE should not be made by lay people generally. And then we will talk about the fact that considering that we're in a crisis, then the alternative PPE made by lay people will be sufficient, okay? Or sufficient for the sake of protecting yourself at all costs, okay? All right, so then we'll talk about OSHA, hazmat, viral contagions and how they spread, virus infectivity, and cell motility, okay? So we can kind of... infectivity is kind of self-explanatory. When you hear, you're just kind of like, okay, well, that just seems like, okay, we're going to study, we're going to talk about the study of how it infects things, right? How it infects animals, how it infects people. And then cell motility may not necessarily communicate movement, but that's what that means, how the cell, moves, and whether that's... like physiologically, at the cellular level, what does this virus cause the cell to do, quote unquote? Okay, and then what exactly is a virus? You've received some information that is not. It's right, but it's not the whole shebang, if you will. I've seen where some of my fellow scientists at different levels, not at the doctoral level, I believe at the master's level of science and bachelor's level of science, they have expressed their definitions for a virus, and they have suggested to you that it basically is just kind of like this message that is sent, and it's in this what would appear to be this cellular package, the cellular ball, Oh, okay. And and so it delivers the messages to the body or the cell, more particularly when it infects the human body, and then reactions are catalyzed, biochemical, and at the cellular level. This will be metabolic, and we'll get into that RNA and all that good stuff. Okay, but we're going to quickly go through it because I don't want to give the impression that I want to give you specific information, but I don't want to overload you with information you just feel like you don't need. I know that oftentimes we want that high level information, and that's what we want. Just like yes or no, definitive answer. Let's keep it moving. So I'm going to give you the definitive answers, okay? And then I'm going to kind of give you the why I'm saying this. And the why I'm saying it will kind of get a bit technical, but I'll do my best. And that's what we at the doctoral level do. Ironically enough, we are taught to simplify our explanation of our very, very high level sciences because we are training the future professors in our field, okay, and researchers. All right, so anyway, All right, so let's do it. Physical distancing. It's not social distancing. I think they at least clarified that. I saw only one person clarify that last night. It was a young lady, and she said, no, it's not called social distancing. You don't want to socially distance yourself from anyone, especially right now in this crisis, because it is impactful negatively on our psychological well-being, right? Done. That should be, we can probably move on from that. So it's physical distancing, which is, okay, we're going to try to maintain this 6 feet distance. All right, but this is what we're gonna touch upon this real quick, okay? So hazmat and OSHA. So OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and then also the Act. You can look these up. You can look them at OSHA.gov. That is the most vetted and verifiable and reliable source of information for OSHA, because that's them, right? All right. Okay, and they have a fiduciary duty to you to provide that information. You may have heard of OSHA as it relates to your individual employers and your work environment, okay? It is also relative to our general safety as we move about the city and we are on roads and bridges and things of that nature, on elevators. All of those things are relevant. Those are also normally governed state by state by the Department of Insurance. So you can go to your local DOI state.gov, whatever. There you have it. And you can look up all of the aspects that are under or governed by the Department of Insurance. Okay. So when they say, well, no, we're not going to talk about that. We don't want to talk about OSHA. Because you've not heard any of them say anything about OSHA. You've not heard any of them say anything about hazmat. You've not heard any of them say any of that stuff. They're just scantily talking about the N95 mask, and that's it. And my thing is this: if the N95 mask is not sufficient, and it really isn't, at the end of the day, it is not a catch-all, and it is not sufficient even for the medical professionals. And that's why you see, oftentimes, unfortunately, we're seeing that there are too many of the doctors who are treating the patients who are coming in infected with the coronavirus, or the coronavirus, 19 specifically, COVID-19. They are unfortunately, succumbing to the disease. Uh-oh, what happened here? Did I lose you? Okay, I hope I haven't lost you. Let me see. Okay, no, it's still going. All right. This is so odd. Oh, okay, now I can see. I can't see it from there. I see Jacob Lewis is saying hello. I see Umar Jallo is saying hello. And I'm sorry if you don't want me to use your name, just go ahead and type it here, because I can see it on the actual Facebook page from my laptop. I can't see your messages from the phone live feed. For whatever reason, I can't see it at all. It's not coming up. Yeah, I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing at all, okay? So continue to greet me here and just let me know, because I'm not really sure why I can't see everything. I will look into that before I go live tonight at 7 o'clock. But yeah, I can't see. And I can see that 207 people are signed on. So if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. And I have my laptop open and I can see it, and I will respond of course, live, but then I can see what you're asking from the comments here. Okay. So, let's go back. We were at physical distancing, and we had moved on to the PPE. We had talked about OSHA and hazmat, and basically occupational safety and health. It's just making sure that whatever you're doing throughout the course of your day, whether it is an occupation or it is just general travel through and about a city that goes about an occupational activity. You follow me? Okay. Then you are, because they become your fiduciary. The city has a fiduciary duty that's kind of like a parent to a child, because they know better. They are trained in this area. They know what should be done to maintain your safety and health and well-being while in the course of that activity. So that's why the city is a fiduciary to you. The Department of Health and Human Services is a fiduciary to all of the citizens of the city, all of the citizens of the state. We know that the president, even though he's not acting like it, is a fiduciary to us all. We know that the Surgeon General is a fiduciary to the entire United States population based on the information that he publicizes, because it impacts how people then act in their activity that is relevant to the advisement that the Surgeon General is making. You follow me? I know you're with me. I know you're with me. Okay, so with that said, that's why I keep saying this is knowingly reckless, because they know that they have a fiduciary duty to you. Okay? All right. Okay. All right. So then we go to viral contagions, and like I said, how they spread, virus infectivity and cell motility, and then what exactly is a virus and are they alive? And actually scientists' new research and discoveries is leaning towards more that they are more alive than we have previously, or more alive than previous studies have suggested. Okay. All right, so any scientist that, and I'm not being disrespectful and I'm not being insulting, it's not my intention, but when you're trying to get information about a field, you do want to speak to people who have significant experience in that field, and preferably the top academic level of experience in that field. Okay, now it's not a catch-all, because there are some scientists who just have a bachelor's degree and they are fully informed of this because they're reading the journal articles of the doctoral level scientists who are conducting the research. Sometimes even the bachelor scientists, they stop there, very possibly, and they continue to work as scientists, maybe for like our North Carolina Natural Resources, state agency, USDA, EPA, okay? And they have been in that field, and they're working around doctoral level scientists. So they do have that firsthand knowledge. It can come either way, but just be mindful of who you get this information from. Okay, so we've covered physical distancing, but this is what we need to cover with physical distancing. Why it is not the most viable method, even though they keep telling us physical distancing is how you're going to be able to 1,000% protect yourself. And anyway, because they kind of give this kind of like caveat, and anyway, your ass should be home. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because we've already discussed this. We know that generally most of us are at home. That's not our issue. We're talking about our loved ones and our friends and our colleagues who are in the supply chain and the medical professions, and they are out there, or these essential workers, and even the restaurants that are still open. McDonald's is not essential. I'm not trying to be funny. And I know some people don't like McDonald's. I have my viewpoint. That'll be a topic for a different discussion, because my son has eosinophilic esophagitis, and for him, there are certain items on that menu that work very well when we're traveling, and I can't reasonably keep some of the foods that he would that would be palatable and digestible for him. So we do every once in a while. McDonald's is our thing. Okay, but McDonald's is not essential, nor is Burger King. Okay, they're not essential. Chick-fil-A is not essential. They're not essential. But anyway, they're still at work. Those are the individuals that I am intending to inspire a greater regard of protection for them. Not the people who are at home, chilling, doing whatever, trying to keep sane minds, trying to pray for their husband or pray for their wife or their son or daughter who's out there working every day and hoping that they're okay. Maybe they even live in the house, and I'm talking about the son and the daughter, but of course we would assume, we hope that the marriages are strong, that the husband or the wife is definitely in the home. So when they're returning home, are they exposing, their partner to this, infectious issue? What's going on? And how is physical distancing going to work in that type of, situation? Not everybody lives in a house where they have a basement where they can quarantine, quote unquote, or self-quarantine their husband or wife or whatever. Okay. Also, there's the issue with the 6 feet rule. 6 feet, yeah, okay, generally speaking, maybe there is some scant validity there. Absolutely. Because, of course, you're creating space, and we're talking about saliva and you spewing it, okay? And it expands therefrom, right? But the issue here is that they are telling you, or have been telling you since the beginning, as opposed to what I've told you from the beginning, they've told you that it cannot be contracted by what? Breathing or talking. That's ridiculous. That is one of the OSHA 101 type of rules with regards to why you would wear PPE in the first place when you're dealing with in a medical profession, or you're dealing with human health. Okay? Because you effectually spit every time you talk. You effectually spit each time you breathe, especially if you have seasonal allergies, or you have a respiratory condition, or if you are just a heavy breather, or depending on the activity that you're doing, okay? Like if it's like rigorous activity, even your breathing could, result in the release of this spray of saliva and these droplets, right? Okay? And we know in the droplets, what? Because we're talking at the microcellular level, we know that in these droplets, because at the very least, you should remember back in the day when you created a slide, right? For what? Putting under the microscope. And if you use oil immersion, you put 1 drop. And I tell people all the time, because it freaks me out, and I've been a scientist for damn ever, and I still get freaked out when I look under the microscope and process mentally. Think about this. Think about the expanse that we see all around us, right? Just think about your apartment right now, and then think of a droplet of water. And in that droplet of water, there's so much life that is going on in that 1 droplet of water. Okay? So, and you're going to spew many droplets of water. It's not just going to be 1. You're not going to have the convenience say, you know what? I don't want to spew any more than 1 today. That's all. I just want to spew 1, and I'm going to spew it this way because my friend's standing here. I'm going to spew it that way because I love them. That's not how it works at all. Quite the contrary. It is such a volatile process when you really look at it scientifically. Okay? We think of it as such a simple thing because colloquially we're just going through the day and you're not intending to spit at anyone. No, you're not I hope some of y'all probably out there spitting on people. You better stop spitting on people. But the point I'm making is that 6 feet, it sounds good. It's one of those things that sounds good. So let's hope that you spit out more that is more of a droplet as opposed to a spray. Because if it is sprayed, then it will actually have what? Longer reach. You got it. Okay? And then you also know we've all experienced, and this isn't a very nasty thing, but I'm going to have to tell you about it. And I know you're going to remember as soon as I say it. Have you ever been walking by somebody and they sneeze? And they spray, and you accidentally walk through the spray. Oh my God. Oh. And just imagine those instances are happening inadvertently. And then let's add to that. Okay, let's say if you're at the park, and I know we've closed the parks for the most part across the nation, but let's just use this as an example. Or let's be more specific so that we can talk to the people who are at work. Okay, the essential workers. Okay, all right. So essential worker, you're walking through your warehouse, right? Your boss, he has on safety goggles, but he does not have on a mask. You have on safety goggles, but you don't have on a mask. Okay? He's walking by you. He's not even thinking about you. Y'all are in the groove of work. He sneezes. You walk by. You realize, damn it, I just walked through this. All his spit and his done. Already done. That quickly, that inadvertently, regardless of you having 6 feet apart of you, because he could have been 6 feet gone by that point and you walked through it. So the physical distancing is not a viable catch-all remedy or preventive measure from being infected by the coronavirus, COVID-19. Okay. All right, here we go. So, and we're at 11:55, so I'm going to be here for 15 more minutes. I'm trying to get through it real quick. All right. So that's the first thing that we have to know about physical distancing. So if you've seen me out and about, I have a spray it's a whole concoction in there. And I hold it up as I'm walking around. Don't get it twisted. I love you all people. Lord, I love you all. But this one boy of mine, this one very handsome, very sweet 10-year-old of mine, I will not be leaving him intentionally in this world by himself. Not in this world. I brought him in here and I'm responsible for him, and I take that responsibility very seriously. And considering the state of affairs and our current president and the administration and the trickle down and the news reporters and the journalists who just want to continue to obfuscate, oh no. And I'm raising a black man in America, and I'm saying that very, very forward to all of my listeners of any ethnicity. I'm raising a black man in America, and I know it. And I assure you, I shall be there at every step of the way in his life. Yay! Okay, so the point I'm making is that there's no way that I'm going to, even when I go to the pharmacist to pick up my allergy medicine, my Sudafed 24-hour, okay? All right? And that's what you primarily hear, the coughing because of postnasal drip, okay? I have my spray up. I want you to think I'm crazy. I love you, but you better stay back. Okay, so we covered that, all right? Now, PPE, all right. With that spray, and because at the very least, the scientists, the doctors, the journalists, the behavioral scientists, the psychologists who study behavioral safety, because there's a psychology in our sciences as well that is interrelated. They are telling you, hey, if they're thinking, oh, well, we at least agree that if you wear this mask, we at least agree that the coronavirus 19 is impactful, but it is not it's not necessarily a fatal type of infection, okay? So with that said, then the N95 mask worked just fine, right? And with that said, then alternative PPE would work just fine, right? Right, because the ultimate goal is to not have it in the first place, because the biggest issue that now this is another area that we do generally agree upon, the biggest issues that we're having is hospital beds and availability of care, proper care, okay? Because there's a lot of care providers that are out there, like urgent care, but oftentimes, I don't know if you're familiar with this, some of you have learned this in your adult life, but emergency rooms and urgent care centers are there to stabilize you only. That's it. They're not there to actually fully remedy you. That's why you need to be hospitalized and receive proper care. So that's why you feel odd when you go to an urgent care center and they just kind of give you enough to send you on your way. Okay? I don't know who's there. Tony, I think she's liked the video. Tony is actually also in human health services. One of my just lovely cousins, she works as a dental hygienist. And I know that she has other certifications and titles and all that good stuff. And what I'm getting at is that she's around the mouth, saliva all the time. You know what I mean? So these are things that they would know on a regular basis and would be easily exposed to. And OSHA is huge in their dental offices, and then their scope of knowledge and expertise and training and how to handle patients and things of that nature. So you all generally know what I'm talking about, okay? This is not far-fetched stuff at all. All right. So with that being said, if this is not a big bad bug, and our biggest issue is, we just don't have enough beds. Like if everybody were to contract this infection. At the same time, we don't have enough doctors, nor do we have enough hospital space to treat everybody at the same time. And then, unfortunately, not receiving proper care will be that cause of death. And that's sad. We don't want that to be the case. So that means that you can use alternative PPE. Yeah, look at there. Look at God. Look at God, okay? All right, so then what happens is just cover your damn mouth with, okay, I won't do it now, but you just find something, an old t-shirt. Find, excuse me. Now I'm going to have myself laughing. Oh, Lord. Find an old t-shirt. And, you know, right now, especially since we're getting warmer weather, and for some of you who suffer with, you know, postnasal drip and allergies like myself, mine are all upper respiratory. I would say thankfully, but I think neither is good. You know, bronchial or upper respiratory is all bleh, okay? But the point I'm making is that heat really starts to agitate people's allergies, okay? And so maybe you use a thin t-shirt, but you'll wrap it around and cut that thing up. Make something for yourself. Act as though you're important. Love yourself. Cover your face so you don't contract any of those droplets that have lots of stuff in them. Remember, in that one droplet, there's lots of stuff going on, okay? And it's not just a two-dimensional space. That water droplet, I love to show my fellow scientists who are my students. I don't like to call them students because I want to encourage them to really embrace the term and the position of being a scientist, because too often, especially women that look like me, they are not, they're not encouraged to be scientists and doctors, and not encouraged to use the word unless, especially because of my field being primarily Caucasian and male dominated, they don't want to use this, this affirmation, I'm a scientist, in the company of certain people if they don't have certain, experience. No, I tell them you're scientists, and that's what I want you to be, and I want you to live in that mindset and be that, okay? So the point I'm making is that love yourselves. Put something over your face, because in that droplet, it's not two-dimensional. It's a three-dimensional space. Just like our three-dimensional world, which is, effectually more dimensional, but that's physics, and I teach that too. Like I said, I teach that too. Okay, but the point I'm making is that where you would think that, okay, I've got this flat surface, I've got this flat, all I'm doing is just this flat area that I'm looking at under the microscope on the stage, and can't be anything three-dimensional. It can't be a up and a down in there. Yes. And when you look in there, you'll see the dimension. You'll see, it will be very evident that there is dimensional space between one organism and its motility maybe is spiraling, and the other is maybe kind of scooting along with what? Flagellum? Yeah, some of you know. Y'all know these names. You know these terms. Okay, so you've seen this before, and you've even seen them if you've been lucky. And of course, the scientists in this feed know full well, and I've only got a couple of seconds here, but I'll just touch on the rest because I got to go live at 7. And then I'm pretty sure possibly you'll have some questions, or maybe you'll bring some people in that have some questions. We'll get that answer. Okay. So the point I'm making is that you'll even see them kind of cross each other. And then you'll know full well because you'll see one going over the other. Then you're like, wait. And it's such a magical thing to see in this one droplet that you have smushed down effectually to look at on the slide on the stage with the microscope. Okay? There's a lot of life going on. We are so arrogant as humans. We think that we are just it on this earth. And those little bitty things, boy, they are something else. And they will take us out because there's a lot of them on our body right now. I always love to freak my mom about it because she's like, where they at? I said, Mom, we're not going to do that. It's like a little playful thing we have between each other. But anyway, so let's go ahead. So now OSHA, hazmat, now you have an understanding of why I'm saying what I'm saying, okay? Okay. All right. All right. So then viral contagions and how they spread, virus infectivity and cell motility. We just talked about motility, like the flagellum. There are some that almost seem to have like a propeller. Some actually do have legs and claws. It's a very, very interesting thing to look under that microscope, and I am just absolutely like I can look at that microscope for hours on end. Okay, so that's what I mean by motility. The point I'm making when I say something about the virus infectivity is that, okay, it attaches itself. And so what I told you in the beginning, that there was a scientist that said something about, hey, well, the virus acts much like a letter, and that it's not so much as like this living organism. It doesn't act in the same method. Well, it does, and we can discuss that tonight at 7 because of new studies. But just like there are good bacteria and bad bacteria, there is the same for viruses. What? Did this be just said? Yes, I did. There is good and bad. And they help with your metabolic systems, the good. And otherwise, the bad, what do? They catalyze inflammatory responses. And that's what you're seeing via what? The flu. Fever is an inflammatory response. What? Respiratory exacerbation is an inflammatory response. Do you see my point, people? And yes, this is high level, and I know some of y'all are like, I gotta take a class. And the funny thing is that they have told me, which I find very, very humbly, it really is a blessing to me, that I've been able to remain who I am and still be smart. I love it. And my mentors and professors who have hired me, to work under them as a teaching assistant, they say that I'm helping with retention of scientists. And that just, because I'm breaking it down and making it more relatable. It doesn't have to be this foreign thing that no one can touch except a doctoral level scientist. It's not like that. And it's such a great joy to understand the world around you. Look around you. Look outside today. Look how beautiful this is. How amazing that we're doing all this stuff. That I'm sitting here in my mind. I'm having a conversation with people. And let's see the numbers. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, 207 people. I'm having a conversation with 207 people right now at the same damn time. All of this stuff is magical. Get into it. Yes. Okay. So it's 12:08. I've gone over 3 minutes. And I will go live again at 7 o'clock. But the biggest takeaway that I want you to have right now at this moment is that if you have a loved one that is working as an essential worker right now, whether they are in the food service industry, and I have my aversion to whether or not McDonald's and Burger King qualify as essential workers, but they're there. So we're not going to argue about that. We're just going to say, let's try to protect the individuals who are out there. You have a loved one out there? Because we went to 2 places, and I'm telling you, as a scientist, I was like, you're not getting nothing from here. They don't have no damn face mask on, nothing. And we already know that some of these places are already nasty as hell on a regular day. And their corporate officials have no clue, right? So why in the hell would you then want to go to a certain drive-thru and get something from them? And ain't nobody wearing nothing in there? Are you serious? No, thank you. Think about what they are spewing inadvertently on your food as they're packing it, right? They're breathing, right? They're breathing and packing your hamburger and your French fries, and you happy go lucky. You done paid your $3.17 and go. She won't. You won't. She won't. Okay. So the point I'm making is, and they can't tell them they can't wear masks because it does not interfere with their ability to perform their job. And the reason why it can't interfere with the performance of their job is because it's OSHA based. It's protective equipment. That's the whole point of it. It has to be equipment that also allows for the reasonable performance of one's job. I'm just saying all this common sense, all this coincidental common sense and links. It's mind-boggling. Okay, so now we have this. I just want you to share with them and say, hey, look, let's just make something. Make something that doesn't look too imposing. There may not be, the quote-unquote traditional kind of face masks that we've seen. They may not be available. You can make them. You don't need a sewing machine to make them. You don't even need needle and thread. You can do it with like the material, fold it over, and staple that stuff. You can go to the dollar store. The dollar store is still open. They have plenty of crafts to help that process out. Okay, it's just that it's available for you. It's completely available. Share it with them. Tell them the why. Tell them if they're not convinced, maybe you call them, don't get them agitated at work because they're already agitated and annoyed by the fact that they have to be at work and they have people breathing on them all the time. And, probably at this point, yelling and acting the damn monkey about some toilet paper and paper towels and all this kind of stuff. Don't stress them out. Just have them come to the house. Maybe make one for them. Maybe even make it with something, make it pretty. If it's a woman, if she likes to be fly like I do, make it pretty. And if it's a masculine guy and he just wants it, whatever, just make it to their liking and then make a sweet suggestion. And then say, hey, I just want you to look at this with me. Or have it on when they come home and say, you know what, look at this with me. There's a scientist here in Charlotte and she posted this and it makes a lot of damn sense. She ain't even talking I'm not talking in textbook. I don't need to talk in textbook. When you get to the doctoral level, if you don't know what the hell I've been in school for, some of y'all know I've been in school for damn ever. If I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, then that's when I'm not going to be able to make it relatable. I know what I'm talking about because I've had to study this shit. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, y'all. I've had to study it for so many years. I know it. I know it like the back of my hand and this part of my ear. I know it. So I don't have to I don't have to have on a suit. I don't have to do any of those things. I can just tell you exactly what it is because I know what it is. Okay? So this is for real. And I've tried to make it lighthearted. I've tried to, take away the intimidation, not oversimplify it because I know, again, you all are infinitely intelligent. You can look up words like flagellum. You can look up motility. You can look up infectivity. You can go to Google Scholar. Like I told you, I'm going to leave some links, as a matter of fact, on this post that you can refer to. So you don't have to say it's just Tigress McDaniel. It's a body of scientists. It's my colleagues, my peers. Okay? Protect yourself. And we'll talk about the rest. We'll get into that tonight. And if you have any questions, I don't see any questions. I just see the hellos and hi. Hi to you all. And you may see, look, my nail, I can't even go to the damn nail salon. I'm taking these off. It was for, some of you know that I also run a for-profit. And my for-profit not only entails, of course, the professional scientist or scientific consulting, but it also entails performing arts and business economics. And some of you know that in that realm, of course, you need to be, pretty for marketing for those purposes or certain purposes anyway. And so I had these for a certain purpose. And I knew that, they wouldn't last long or whatever, especially with us being in the shelter in place. And we know the nail salons are not open. Yeah. So I'll be taking these off. You'll see probably another color this evening, but just so you're not, oh my God, she look crazy. She normally have her nails together. I know my nails normally be right. And this is SNS, by the way. This is environmentally friendly. Yeah. Oh, okay. But anyway, so I will be going live again at 7. And then tomorrow, 11 and 7, what'd I put? Okay, tomorrow will be, oh yeah, okay, so tomorrow will be on Twitter, and that's just See Tigress Run. That's my handle everywhere. And I am on TikTok. I just have not posted anything under the political TikTok yet. Okay? And I'm not going to advertise any of the other stuff because this is not what this is about. This is about loving on our people. I equally have individuals and a particular individual that I care about very much that are out there, and they are working in the supply chain, and I want them to return home safely every day. I don't want to hear that they have contracted the COVID-19. I don't even want it to go that level. I don't even want them to have to say, oh, I've contracted it and I'm going to the hospital and I'm receiving care or I'm not receiving care. I don't even want to hear that they have been infected at all. Not at all. So share this, and I will be back at 7 o'clock. I'm going to get me some sleep because, like I told you, I've been up since 3 handling marketing, some marketing content for my for-profit, and I'm tired. I put myself together, but I'm tired. I'm real tired. And I will see you then at 7 o'clock. So my encouragement always, 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 loving yourself is not selfish. Love yourself. And love the people around you. And love them enough to give them truth. They'll appreciate it. All right, see you later.